Hey, Damon, good morning. Happy Monday. Hey, wait a minute. We're usually live on Monday. What is today? I'm kind of mixed up. What's
We've
today?
got a holiday week, Kurt, so we're doing it Wednesday.
I'm all discombobulated. So what an honor. What a privilege
Yep,
today, man. Did you get a good night's sleep for this one?
I did.
Attaboy. All right. I'm glad you rest up because we got two dear friends. We are talking about the MEP network. We're talking about IMEC. We're coming live from Chicago. Let's start with our dear friend. We have a repeat offender on the program today. Paula Velazquez. Paula, how are you? Happy Wednesday to you, my friend.
Good. Thank you for having us today.
Absolutely. Paula, and what did we figure out? How many times have you been on the show?
This is the fourth.
Fourth, fifth, like it's and you know what? And we've been live together at least twice.
Twice.
And so, what an honor, privilege. Love the friendship that we've developed, and I love what you're doing at IMEC. What we're going to dive into.
Yep.
Man, Damon, we got John Azara on the program today. John, happy Wednesday, dude. How are you, man?
I am good. Good morning, everybody. And before you ask the question, this is my first time, so be easy, be gentle.
Hey, it's a Damon. It's a maiden voyage for John Azara. So we're going to take it light and no curveballs, no super heavy curveballs today.
All right.
And we've got a tight timeline, so we're going to dive right in. And so I'm going to kind of lay the groundwork here first. So Paula, you've got a new title, Director of People, Culture, and Equity. Man, how did somebody get such a cool title like that? I have title envy right now. How'd you get that title?
Yeah. No, it's kind of exciting because I think I had shared with you before that, the director of DEI role was a new role for IMEC. And in the 2.5 years that I've been here, we've really identified my role for IMEC, for the MEP, for our clients, and realized that we're really working with people, their cultures, and ensuring there's equity across the board. So it made sense.
Yeah, I love it. And what I admired is when you and I first met a couple years ago, when you first came on, is IMEC, I just feel, is always on the cutting edge, kind of a leader in the industry, if you will. And I thought it was great bringing on your role. And now I love the transition here. John, you've had a vast career of sales, just fierce advocate for U.S. manufacturing. Great fit for you to come over to IMEC. We're going to take a dive in IMEC. Now, you are the Director of Client Engagement. Perfect title for you. Why don't you tee us up a little bit for our friends out there that are not familiar with the MEP? That's a Manufacturing Extension Partnership program throughout the United States. What is the MEP, and specifically what's going on at IMEC?
Yeah, so the MEP, and it's, first of all, thanks, Kurt. MEP, our mission is to help Illinois manufacture across the country. It's the MEP network. In Illinois, within IMEC, our specific mission is to help Illinois manufacturers. IMEC Central Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center. And what we're really focused on is improving the performance of Illinois manufacturers, helping them grow their businesses. So the best way to think about IMEC and the MEP network, because we are a resource for manufacturers, and for us specifically Illinois manufacturers, to exactly that, help them grow their business, help them improve the performance of their operation. So when you're thinking about Paula and myself and the rest of the IMEC team, we are a resource. We are here to help and support Illinois manufacturers.
Well, I love it, and I've had the honor and privilege of having a front row seat. And we've done this live show multiple times in Illinois with your clients and what have you. And it's so impressive, so admirable. You're literally helping hundreds. It's staggering, hundreds and hundreds of manufacturers.
Yep.
Damon, we've had how many folks from the IMEC network on the show over and over and over, right? It's
so many. Yeah.
It's just such an inspiration. So, Paula, you have a wonderful program that you are here to talk about today, and it's really building the pipeline. Again, you know what? I can't help myself, Paula. Can you just, I know every time you come on, I ask you, and I know we're a little tight on time, but just give us a little sliver of what was your background on what really inspired you to get into manufacturing? Just share your story quickly.
Yeah, so I'm a first-generation immigrant, migrated here as a child with my parents. Parents worked in manufacturing all their life. They retired from manufacturing, and I started in manufacturing. And the story that you're referring to is that when I was 18 years old, my mother and I would stand outside a manufacturing plant Saturday mornings at 6 a.m, and we'd wait in line hoping that they had enough work and they would just pick day people. So we wanted to be the first ones there, so we would be picked. And so when we did get picked, we would spend the day packaging plastic plant pots. And so we would do that for the entire day. But that really helped me meet a lot of people that grew up in the United States. They were American born, right? And so they would actually encourage me to go to school and asked me a lot of questions, things that my parents, they didn't grow up in this country. They didn't have that insight to college and things like that. But through that, I learned to admire culture, admire the diversity within culture. And I also saw a lot of, I would say, things that were a little bit inequitable. And I always thought, I'm going to go to school and one day I'm going to come back to manufacturing and I'm going to work something related, right, to helping build some bridges and creating equity across the board. And that's really exciting because now today you're having us on the show because we're talking about pipelines and how we can expand our talent pipelines and think a little bit outside the box.
Well, I love it. And if I'm not mistaken, I told you, like, Damon and I were like, we're two, we're weepy guys, but you had us like, it was such a wonderful story. And that's a great thing about, a program like this or that opportunity to share your story. It's just so emotional. I think the question I asked you was, who was your hero growing up? And you shared your mom and you shared that wonderful story. So, you know what, let's jump to John real quick. Cause I want to ask John that question. Then we're going to dive into your talent pipeline program here. John, as a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who was your hero? Who did you look up to? Who inspired you to be the great dude that you are today?
I'm going to have to go back to my dad, really. So my dad was a Chicago police officer for 30 years.
Nice.
When I think about those that, inspired and motivated and really taught me right from wrong and how to treat people and it's him, right? And I think about him every day. So yeah, it's definitely awesome. My dad.
Well, and very admirable. Our hats off to Dad. What's Dad's name?
John as well.
John as well. All right, perfect. And so, boy, being a Chicago police officer, that's one thing. I'm in my basement. I don't have to worry about my life being at risk unless I trip or something happened in here. Your dad goes out, protecting lives in Chicago. What an admirable career that he built. Great inspiration and just absolutely, we love that question and love those answers. Paula, let's come back to you again. Your hero was your mom, manufacturing, and you've just dedicated a career. Your mission, your purpose, your passion is really just helping manufacturers just relentlessly, like the rest of the team here at IMEC. Just share a little bit about this exciting program that you guys have going on for manufacturers in Illinois.
Yeah, so we have a program called the Expanding Talent Pipeline. It's an initiative where IMEC has partnered with community-based organizations to support workforce development. So if a manufacturer has faced talent shortages or anticipate facing any challenges with recruitment, hiring, retaining employees, we're supporting them. And so this includes partnering manufacturers with, again, a community-based organization to source and expand their talent. The talent includes skilled justice impacted individuals with disabilities, and hiring of immigrants and refugees who have a work authorization. So we are partnering with these organizations that have the expertise in working with employers to set their employees up for success, but also setting the employer up for success. So along the lines, we at IMEC have created a best resource guide for employers that's downloadable at our imec.org website. So anyone could download it and you can read through the tips and things that you can be asking for interviews, what to ask, what not to ask, how to interview, places to look for sourcing candidates, how to think a little bit outside the box when you're looking at your job descriptions, right? For example, in a manufacturing plant, you might be paying someone, a high salary. Are there any work that they're doing, tasks that they're doing that are repetitive that maybe you can pull away from that person and offer that as a part-time position for an individual with a disability? Because we know many of these individuals with a disability have a great attention span. They have attention to detail. They can do that repetitive work. And so it's really, this resource guide gives you some of those tips to start thinking a little bit differently on how you're sourcing talent.
Yeah.
Well,
and we've worked with organizations in the past that do that, help people with disabilities find employment, and wow, is that such a win-win? because there's a 70% unemployment or more higher in people with developmental disabilities, and they can do so much if we structure the jobs appropriately. And there are a lot of jobs that we can structure for them. So it's great, and it's an untapped workforce for our manufacturers.
Yeah, we have, I mean, the percentage that you said right there, right? High in people with disabilities. There's 1 in 3, I think, people that have a criminal background, also high rate of unemployment and recidivism. I can't say that word, right? And we want to make sure that they're not returning to jail. They want to be out. They know what it's like, and they want to work. They're dependable. And then we also have many refugees in Illinois alone. We have about 20,000 that just came this past year, right? And these are people that have skilled backgrounds. They may have education and degrees. The lack of them is there may be a language barrier, but we shouldn't make that a barrier for us if we can hire them. There's so many resources and solutions out there to be able to navigate that communication barrier and get them hired. So if you go on our our social media page too, we just posted a story of a gentleman who's a refugee. He had, I think it was a biochemical background in his country, and he got hired in manufacturing, and he's been working there and has created some stability for his family. So it's just a lot of great stories of why it's important to be hiring these individuals.
Man, I love it. And it's such a win-win-win all the way around. So let's unpacking a few things there, Paula. So you mentioned, folks with differently abled or with different challenges, right? You've talked about, incarcerated folks getting back into, civilian life and into the workforce, and folks coming from other countries. And again, we could go back. Damon and I are history buffs. I got this thing on Henry Ford recently, and that's exactly, the auto industry in Detroit. That's what, they needed more workers, more labor.
Yep.
And we have a massive shortage here, in the United States. And it's just such a great opportunity of, these win-win programs that you're creating. I'm going to dive into a little bit more on that guide. You really piqued my curiosity on that guide. That's, we work with a lot of folks on that marketing aspect. And so we're encouraging folks to do that guide. Share a little bit. What inspired you to do the guide? What's in the guide? Just take us a little deeper on that guide that you have available.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back again to my background. So I grew up here, learned English here in this country. My parents didn't speak English. I was interpreting for them. I worked in healthcare, interpreted there. I'd go to a store, I'd be interpreting there, right? There's just a lot of interpreting. And then I just saw a lot of barriers. And so the guide really speaks to me when I think of the immigrant population that's coming here to the United States, right? They have that dream of creating some stability for their family. They're fleeing their country for a reason. So they want to have a safe place. So they're dependable, but they have this barrier where English is not allowing them to even get to the interview, right? And so again, they're skilled workers. I look at my parents, my father, 30 years in manufacturing, retired from there, right? And to this day, his English is limited. But that employer, trusted him, hired him, and they didn't see that as a barrier. His limited English skills allowed him to still stay there for 30 years, right? And so in writing this guide, I put myself in that perspective of some of the barriers that immigrants and refugees are facing. I partnered with Got Jobs America. They work with justice impacted individuals to get their insight on what are some of those barriers that our justice impacted individuals are facing, and how do we help employers get past those barriers? So that's where the guide comes into place. We're also partnering with World Relief for the refugee and immigrants, and then Parents Alliance Employment Project for people with disabilities. These are all organizations that have experience in working with employers and getting them talent. So they sit down one-on-one with the employers to identify what are the jobs you have, how can we think differently, and these are the candidates that we have that think will work with you. Some of these organizations even send a job coach in to work with the individual to make sure that they're, things are going to be successful for the employee, but then also for the employer.
So impressive. And Damon, when you think about, entrepreneurship, and again, the heroes of our economy are certainly our manufacturers, in our humble opinion, right? And just, Paolo, you'll love this. We had one of our IMEC clients on the show, and we talked about, hey, your early entrepreneurial career. And they're like, when an employee came in and they got their first mortgage, he was like, that's when I really felt like I'm making a difference. Like, just think about that. The difference that our manufacturers, our entrepreneurs are making of, you're helping provide those soccer games, those dance lessons, a first mortgage, that first birthday. And now you've taken it to a whole new level on creating this wonderful opportunity for folks that are differently able. John, let's get you in the game here, my friend. You've had a wonderful career of helping folks with different challenges. You have some great stories to share. Give a little bit on your background, and I'm going to. You have a wonderful story that I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. So my background is before joining IMEC is operations. Operations leadership, management types of roles, primarily electronics, some aerospace, medical device industry. I think the story you're referring to is, shortly before I joined IMEC, I worked for a hearing aid manufacturer in the Chicagoland area. What was great about manufacturing hearing aids, building hearing aids, is that every device we made was for somebody, right? It was to help improve the quality of their life and allowed them to hear things that they couldn't hear before. So we would get a lot of, emails and stories about our devices and how they change people's lives. And a couple of quick little stories is, one time we got a message from I think she was a 19-year-old girl, and she wore hearing aids her entire life, and she tried one of our devices on. And I guess during the fitting, her boyfriend blew her a kiss. And up until that point, she didn't know that made a noise. But trying our devices, also now she hears that's a noise. Wow. Right? So there's just all these tremendous stories about helping people make a difference. So when I decided I was going to move on from there, it was really important to me, whatever I do next, had a purpose, had a mission, had a driven to help people. So that's what I found in IMEC, right? IMEC is a unique organization that we get to help and make a difference and make an impact in people's lives, both from an employee standpoint and from a manufacturer standpoint. So that's why I needed to be part of the IMEC team, right? Is that I could take that experience of producing hearing aids, being a purpose-driven organization, and take that into IMEC and continue to be a purpose-driven organization to help and make a difference in manufacturers' life. And that's what IMEC does. And that's what this program does as well. And even going back to my experience with the hearing aid manufacturer, obviously talent's a big deal, right? We had over 500 employees making and servicing hearing aids there in order fulfillment. We tapped into the refugee, right? We had a large population of immigrants and using refugees to help with that. Obviously, same thing with disabilities. We had a number of our folks in the line that had hearing loss, right? That helped build products, right? So it's doable, right? As running an operation, running a manufacturing organization, I think if you set the structure and take the time and understand what these folks bring to the table and how they can help your organization grow and benefit and diversify your organization, just bring a whole different level of experience and knowledge. It's the right thing to go do. So that's why I'm really excited about this program and allow manufacturers to really kind of tap into some talent that maybe they haven't thought of in the past and really bring it forward, because it really is going to benefit, their organization, help them, go to the next level and face some of the workforce challenges that have been around for years. So let's hit it head on and go for it.
All right, John, you're new to the show. We have these things we call drop the mic. That was just a drop the mic right there, right, Paula? Yep. You've heard of drop the mic. That was phenomenal. And just think, how many manufacturers we work with. As a matter of fact, another IMEC client that I work with, they're in the apparel industry, and they're like, you know what? We're not making apparel. We're making memories. We're providing a T-shirt for that sporting event, that maybe a nonprofit cause or a race for a lost loved one, or a wedding or that type of thing. John, I couldn't love this more, and I want to run with it for one more second. Yeah. The baby that hears for the first time, like you said, the 19-year-old, the senior citizen who's lived decades with no sound whatsoever that we take for granted on a daily basis. Yeah. I mean, like, what an admirable, wonderful opportunity that you had and how many years did you work in that industry?
I was there I was in making hearing aids for about 8 years. Before that, I worked for a company that manufactured components for the hearing aid industry. So about 15, 16 total years in the hearing aid let's say, industry.
Right. Right. And I mean, how did that impact you as a person? Just like, again, like, the 19-year-old, all these stories.
Yeah. So the stories are great, right? And they really do. And we've had um, patients come in and tour the factory because we love to give tours, right?
Yeah.
Let's show somebody how a hearing aid is made because it's pretty fascinating how a hearing aid is actually manufactured. And some of the technology that you would think is in there to manufacture a hearing aid. That, again, every hearing aid is custom because no two ears are alike, right? So think about that.
Funny.
But it makes it changed me from just wanting to build widgets to building something that's purposeful, mission, impact for people's lives. And it's really easy to take that message onto the production floor of that device. That order has someone's name on it, at least part of their name on it. Can't have the full name, part of their name on it. And you understand that device is going to, in 3 days, it's going to fit with somebody, and they're going to hear their grandchildren, right? They're going to have better conversations. They're going to enjoy their life better. And I mean, even simple things like, I didn't know the toilet flush is so loud as it does, right? You get all those kind of stories that happen when you're part of something that's bigger than you and helping you make a difference. And that's, again, why this program is so important. That's why what we do and how we help manufacture is so important. Is it's bigger than we do and help really kind of give back.
Well, and Kurt, can I add, if you think about it, all of us, or I shouldn't say all of us, but many of us are going to fall into that bracket of disability, right?
Yeah.
In manufacturing, how many of us have had a hearing loss because of the noise level? Or how many of us use glasses and eventually, right, we need stronger glasses? I mean, I was in one of my first lean simulations, and the gentleman stood up and said, I can't see the parts. Does someone want to replace me? And at that moment, I was like, replace you? That's what we're doing. We're replacing people because they can't do the work, instead of getting them a magnifying glass, instead of offering them, looking at work ways, workflow, doing things a little bit differently to have them continue to work. It's just fascinating to me. And if we think that it's not possible, the Chicago Lighthouse gives tours. They employ 100% of blind individuals or visually impaired individuals, and their number one, I think, client is the Navy. They're making wall clocks for the Navy, right? And they've been able to do this successfully. There's no reason why a manufacturer can't do this successfully. And I want to share one last thing, because I almost forgot to share. The exciting thing about this program too is that we partner with King County, and we're offering a fully funded grant for King County manufacturers that want to partake in this. And so this is up to $20,000 in receiving solutions to complement their current employment practices. So
nice.
I'm sorry, Paula, I didn't hear that dollar amount. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, 20,000, up to 20,000 fully funded.
Well, that is phenomenal. So, okay, I know, man. Oh my goodness, I'd love to talk to you guys all day. Now, Paula, I did have one friend that sent me a note, wanted me to ask you a question through this program with folks that are challenged. Folks that are hair challenged, are there any programs for folks that are hair? I'm asking for a friend, not for myself. I'm just kidding. So, all right, let's start. We're gonna start winding down as we're coming to the top of the hour. John, I want to come back to you. For folks that are new to IMEC, new to the MEP, can you kind of give us a little run through on the menu? You guys are doing an amazing job on the talent pipeline. I know you've got a huge menu. Just share with folks that are new to, and if you're coming to us from outside of Illinois, there's an MEP near you, Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Google Manufacturing Extension Partnership, MEP. You'll find your MEP. John, just share a little bit of all the awesomeness that goes on at IMEC.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we are resourceful manufacturers, and our actual directive or mission is to be all things to all manufacturers, right? So we do everything, right? It's an interesting business model, but that's what we try and do, and really supporting manufacturers. So it does range from consulting services to trainings as well, but it's from workforce to operational improvement, strategic, to help you grow your business on the marketing side, to ERP, to cybersecurity, to quality systems, and the list goes on and on and on. So what I tell my clients, the more we know about your business, what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do, then we can bring you the right resource to help you get where you want to go, right? So that's what we view, right? We're there, we're partners, we want to be part of your conversation to help you again, grow your business, improve the operations. So the more we know about your business, the more we can bring the right resources to support that manufacturer on what they want to do and where they want to go.
Yep. And Paul, if they want to learn more, and you have a wonderful Cook County grant. So for manufacturers that are in Cook County, I know you have a great grant that you're supporting folks with. And Paul, let's give a shout out to, I know you have the who's who, you kind of have like, it's incredible the amount of talent you have on your team. And if I try to name off everybody, but Ray, your fearless leader, Dave Belay, Christy, Jacqueline, Melissa Zerbel, just Michelle Fawcett. Do you want to share, give a shout out to some of your teammates here?
Right. One of my favorite teammates is Stacy.
She
Stacy's amazing.
was just on the show a few weeks ago.
Yep. I love attending any of her workshops. I'm the first one to raise my hand if I can participate because she is so engaging.
Same here.
And it's incredible. We're lucky to have her on our team, but we have so many talented. I mean, we have Jeremy, we have Ken, we have Angelica, HR specialist on board. So we have a lot of great talent. So I'm fortunate to be surrounded by such great talent.
Yep. And please forgive us, anybody we're leaving out, but Melissa Bassa, we have Noah, I know Cassie, Jordan, Cameron's been on the show. We've had tons of your folks have been on the show. And of course, I got double shout out to Jacqueline. But let's wind down. We're coming in the top of the hour. Folks can find you. Please connect with both of these guys. We have Paula and John. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Drop them a note. You can find them on IMEC. I would love to ask you guys one last question as we close out. John, I'm going to start with you, my friend. First off, thank you for joining us today, John. I've been looking forward to this for months. Just my respect, admiration for you, what you're doing for manufacturers. Love the hearing aid story. If you're just catching us, man, hit that rewind button and hear John's hearing aid story. John, best business advice that you've ever received in your career that you would love to pass along maybe to a young entrepreneur, young person out there today?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go back to earlier you asked me about my hero, and it's some advice my dad gave me early on, and it was about feedback, and always take feedback as a gift, whether you like what someone's saying or not. With something, it's a gift, and receive it as a gift because someone that's giving you feedback is taking the time to really think through, and they care about you, and they care enough to make you better. So take that feedback as a gift. And enjoy it and absorb it and digest it. But, it's never negative. It's always a gift.
Boy, God bless you, man. Boy, your dad is a wise man. You're very blessed to have. That is brilliant advice. Paula, how about yourself? Best business advice you've ever received?
Well, I don't know. I think I've received several, but one of them that I always hear is, right, always ask for whatever you need, or ask, because the worst someone could say is no, right? That's the worst someone can say, but you will always not know if you didn't ask. So just go out on the limb and ask for the things that you need or the want or the desires that you have.
Yeah, more brilliant advice. You know what, Paula, my sister says that all the time. The answer is always no unless you ask. And so absolutely love that. As we close out, parting thoughts, words of wisdom, anything that you guys want to share as we wind down our show today? John, any last words of wisdom, anything that you want to share as we close out?
No, I thought, Paula, maybe talk a little about where someone, if they're interested in the King County Grant, where they could sign up and find out more information on it.
Yeah. So the nice thing is that we're talking about barriers. There's no barriers for this King County Grant. If you're interested, you have the grant, right? We did not put an application process in on purpose, right? We did not want to have any barriers for anyone. And so they can reach out directly to me, but you can also visit imec.org. That's imec.org. And on that web, the landing page, you'll see the King County Grant. If you click on there, then you'll see that have access to all the resources we have there, upcoming webinars, in-person events, the best resource, the tips and for the resource guide is there, downloadable, past webinars. We've had webinars with the TPRs that we're partnering with where they've shared some of the work that they're doing and great stories. So you can view those. So just a lot of great resources on that page. So again, that's imec.org.
Excellent. Excellent. As we close out, hey, Wilton's here today. Wilton, thank you for the comment. Great conversation. Thank you for sharing, Kurt and Damon. Damon, parting thoughts on your end? What do you think of
No,
this?
it's just cool. To tell you when you really open up your mind to who we can help employ in manufacturing, there are solutions to the problem we're having today. But you got to open your mind, use technology. There's just so many things that we have available, and the grants like you guys are giving there, or the county is giving grants to help people do that. I mean, take advantage of it because it's going to benefit your companies.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, all right. How about Damon? How about a big round of applause for our dear friends here today and everybody out there? Give a big round of applause for Paula and John, just absolutely crushing it. Thank you guys. What an inspiring conversation. I'm like, dude, I'm ready to run through a wall after having this conversation with John and Paula. So, guys, thank you for what you're doing for your clients, your manufacturers. Big shout out to our friends at IMEC, and just keep firing on all cylinders. You are an incredible inspiration. And Damon, as we like to close out, just go out and be someone's inspiration, just like these two wonderful human beings. And you're just going to make the world a better place. So we're going to close out for today. Paula, John, thank you both. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. We're going to be back here Friday. We have another great guest coming on. We have more inspiration coming at you this week. So have a great rest of your week, you guys. And we will see you soon. Paula and John, why don't you hang out with us for 1 second and we'll close out.
Sounds great.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.